right, everybody, testing. What's going on, everybody? Hit that thumbs up. Hit that thumbs up. It's your boy Super Mike. I'm coming through with another installment. Super Mike. We're doing the fourth installment. Waging war by zip code. Are you buying your own murder weapon? Yeah. See, white supremacy needs you dead, but they need your help. They want your help. They want your help to kill you. Alright, y'all. So, we're going to go through some more of this. Today, we got to preface this because Dr. Wesley, the great Dr. Wesley Muhammad, our brother, has given us some good good information here. This reminds me how his teacher, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, told him to stop wasting his time debating other black people. You know, we waste a lot of time in internal wars. And while we're, in war with each other, white supremacy is at war with us. So Minister Farrakhan said, brother, you don't need to debate other black people. Put your skills to work battling the enemy. The enemy. The enemy. And we know that we have a serious enemy on our hands, right? And the minister was trained by the great and the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, who was so wise. He was at least 1,000 years ahead of all of us. He couldn't tell us everything he knew because we couldn't take it at that time, and we still can't take it hardly. But today, we want to have a little piece of this here, waging war by zip code. Okay? How black neighborhoods, how food in neighborhoods is weaponized. And we know that the enemy is weaponizing our food because the enemy told us. Who is that? You should know. You should know who that is. That is Henry Kissinger. He put out a Memorandum 200, which stipulated that used food as a weapon. He was basically put this as a manifesto to President Jimmy Carter, and he sent it to all of the agencies of the government: CIA, Department of Agriculture, Department of Defense. He said this is the number one priority of the U.S. government. They want to depopulate the so-called third world. But black America, guess what? We're in third world too, basically, according to them, because the first world is them, the Western world. Western means white, and that was what our great Dr. Frances Quest Welsing, I got that from her, and it's true. Western means white world. And the second world would excuse me, the second world would be Russia, Baltic, all of those guys, China, communist China. Developed second world who is not allied to the first world. So let's get started with the rest of this here. So, Yeah, what we got to do first, though, before we even really dig into what Dr. Wesley, because like I said, he's taking us up on another level. So we're gonna have to get some of our skills up. We're gonna have to learn about zinc. This is zinc. Zinc is important, and to understand what's happening to us, get a little bit basic information about zinc. And we got zinc inside of an atom. All at all the language in the alphabet of material universe is atoms, elements, right? Elementals. This is the alchemy alphabet. This is the words of God, and everything is a word. And so the letters of those words are made up of these particular elements, right? The periodic table, to your right, to your left, I'm sorry, we have the more positively charged atoms from hydrogen, lithium, beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium, you know. Then you have the yellow part, which is the metals or metalloids. Zinc is going to be our focus. If we notice here, zinc normally runs around with a positive charge of 2 with the positive charge, right? And all of these things are important to life. But on our right hand side of this periodic table, we have the more negatively charged. Um, as we go to the right, it becomes more negatively charged until we get to the noble gases, which are pretty much stable. They have equal positive and negative charge. That's important because if we think of a magnet, this is one of the reasons why molecules stick together, because they have these charges, right? Or uh, they're attracted to each other. So if you take a magnet and you put the uh, negative sides of that magnet together, then you're going to kind of get a repelling behavior. And if you put the positive sides together, you're going to get a repelling behavior. But if you put the positive towards the negative, they will be attracted to each other. All right, that's important to know. So, like I said, we got zinc here. Zinc is very important. Zinc is going to be important in in our cellular repair. If you get cut, you get a bruise. Uh, Number one, zinc is the most popular. Behind magnesium is the most prevalent mineral or mineral in your body. So zinc is very prevalent in your body. It's available in the environment, especially in America, and we'll see that being proven through Dr. Wesley's report. It's vital in cellular repair, uh, reproduction. Uh, yeah, the role of zinc in wound healing has been studied in experimental animal studies. In the skin, the highest concentration of zinc is found in the epidermis, especially in the keratinocytes, closest to the basement membrane. In the initial inflammatory phase, zinc levels rise at the edges of the wound, and this concentration increases during granulation and epithelialization phase. So basically, this is how your cells are. These are using sparking the energy to for the cells to reproduce themselves and heal themselves. Zinc is a cofactor of melatonins, antioxidant proteins, so it's pretty important. Zinc is pretty important for our health. Zinc and of course other elements. I'm gonna show you guys a video about zinc and how the reproduction phase is important here. So let me cue this video And make sure you guys press the thumbs up. Press that thumbs up. Press the thumbs up. Go ahead and press it. Press the thumbs up. Y'all press it. And subscribe to the page. So hold on a second here. We're just gonna go through this part.
Their zinc, and when it's yellow, then the two probes are intermixing a bit, and then when it's red, it's just outside the cell, and so you can literally see this spark move. The last bit of data that I want to show you that is just has our jaws dropping, and it literally opens completely new ways of thinking about cell signaling, is what we call a zinc wave. Now, these are cells that Emily inserted the zinc probe, the very sensitive one, and then put the red one outside the cell. They've been fertilized, and about 10 minutes later, they start to show the spark. So you see the red emerge, that's the spark, but now we can watch the trafficking, the communication. What's the zinc doing inside the cell? And unlike those calcium oscillations that just went blinkety-blink, and the calcium was moving across the whole cell at over 250 miles an hour, and it could mix very quickly. What you'll see in every one of these cases, when you see a zinc spark event, you'll see a zinc wave that moves slowly, much more slowly, as kind of a C shape until the cell now becomes completely covered in the green dye. So watch this cell right here. You'll see this wave of zinc moving in. Here's a very bright one. Every one of these eggs did this, and now this would be the slow signal, we think. Could be the master switch that tells which classes of proteins now to begin communicating with other groups through these other signaling pathways that I've showed you. So that's some of our new insights. That's some of the exciting breakthroughs that we've had in this. What we would argue is that these zinc sparks are only part of it, that in fact the zinc is being pulled out of certain sites in the cell, part of it released, and then the rest of it sent in as a resounding wave, setting up a harmonic in the cell, if you would, a chemical prelude to the complex developmental events that are going to have to proceed in a spatially defined manner from this one small sphere into, as I said, 1,000 galaxies of cells. What can we do with these types of discoveries? Well, first of all, some of our collaborators, or colleagues I should say, in Pennsylvania have already shown that even a 3-day zinc deficiency, deprivation in a mouse will cause it to stop ovulating. So we already are starting to see possible implications in nutriture in people that want to get pregnant. In cancer patients who have to have an emergency IVF procedure, which of the eggs are the good ones? We don't know the answer to that. Almost every way there is to interrogate an egg leads to a problematic disruption of the egg's ability to progress. So, but we think we have some ideas to use these zinc sparks to identify the good egg, the best egg that can move forward in an IVF procedure. We're now quite interested in all the implications. What are the machines? How are the contact players? Until this whole network is built up from stem to stern, this is still just an idea, a bubbling an idea and a fun one, but one that may need a bullet put into it, or may actually all sorts of new doors to ways to think about cancer. So when you think about that fundamental question of how do you decide when to divide and when to die, these are the problems the cancer cells have lost control of. So we're quite interested to now think about ways to test whether interrupting those zinc pathways might be a pharmacological way to set cancer cells back in the path of development, back to a normal state. We know that in the malaria infection process, these major surges of zinc are required, otherwise the parasite can't erupt out of the red blood cell and carry on.
So basically, what we want to understand is that anytime we see, um, unfortunately, the Western world, white world, learning something new, we need to think about war because we are at war, and you can pretend like this not a war because you want to not um, acknowledge it, but we're at war. We're at war, and so that's what we need to understand there. And let's get and we're at war because this guy right here, the dude right here, he declared war on you, and they began militating that war to make it happen, right? So let's get back into, let's start the real show. So now we know that zinc is important. We know that you need zinc in order to heal yourself correctly, proper cell division, to repair your wounds, right? You have to repair those wounds. I mean, even your topical solutions, when you go to the store, they have zinc in them. You need that zinc, all right? If you get cut, and also enter the wounds that's inside of your body that you can't see, that zinc is vital, right? So now that we've established that, let's get into the situation here. All right, so wick, and we know what wick is, right? Black folks, wick is women, infants, and children. This is a government program that they give to feed children. So, wick and the mystery of the missing zinc. And I put this up here. I created, this here because number one, stripping. Zinc is what is wick is what they are using to incentivize us to eat certain foods, and zinc is what we want. Food is the zinc. The stripper symbolizes this, and we'll get to seeing what this is. Phytic acid. All right. So let's get back to here. Zinc is an essential nutrient necessary for small amounts of health, as one of the most abundant biological trace metals. Zinc is easy to get in developed countries in foods like beef, poultry, zinc, and beans. Zinc deficiency in humans can cause an assortment of pathological conditions, such as growth retardation, cell mediated immune dysfunction, among others. Zinc deficiency is rare in the US because, due to the easy access zinc containing foods, most diets provide more than the recommended dietary intake. So, an important 2010 study seems to reveal to us more than the circumstances for an exceptional case of zinc deficiency in an American population, but also it hints at scientific conspiracy. Like I said, when you read these people's reports, you better always be suspicious. And you can be called a conspiracy theorist all you want, but that's what we should be looking for any angle. Scientists from Emory University, Grady Hospital, and the Center for Disease Control and Prevention studied a group of low-income black and Hispanic, guinea pigs to them, preschool children from in urban Atlanta, Georgia, who were on government assistance and were enrolled in the Women, Infants, Children Nutrition Program from 2006 to 2007. WIC is a federal assistance program that provides free food packages to low income pregnant and breastfeeding women, infants, children under 5 in order to supplement diets and provide nutrition. It is administered by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, which Henry Kissinger gave them the memorandum to 200 to kill us, 2 billion people dead, and annual race ethnicity data indicates that in general around 60% of WIC recipients are white and 20% are black. WIC participation is historically associated with good zinc levels. In 2003, a 2003 study of the national sample of 7,474 mostly non-urban whites found less than 1% of children had usual zinc intakes below the adequate intake associated, excuse me, had 1% below, excuse me, less than 1% children had usual zinc intakes below adequate intake or estimated average requirement, and that WIC participation was positively associated with zinc intake. In other words, the food provided through the WIC program provided, excuse me, at least some of the zinc needed to achieve healthy levels. 15 years later, a 2018 national random sample of 3,235 children found that the WIC participants who received the food packages tested better for zinc intake than low income as well as high income non WIC participants. This suggests that the WIC package was a source of zinc for these participants. June and others found that only 2% of this national sample of young infant WIC recipients and 1.5% of toddlers had zinc intakes below the estimated average requirement. Even black children have historically benefited from WIC in this regard. The third National and Nutritional Examination Survey from 1988 to 1994 surveyed the zinc status of a nationwide sample of 29,103 29,103 basically black, white, Mexican American age 2 years and older, and found that while whites do have better zinc status than African Americans and Mexican Americans, in part due to the larger percentage of whites who can afford to use zinc supplements, many dietary zinc intakes were not statistically different among Hispanic whites, non-Hispanic blacks, and Mexican Americans of the same age and sex group. So, and this is for sex and age groups under 51 years. The national zinc status of African Americans, which was basically average about 9.5, did not depart significantly from that of the national average, so that, and which was 10. So a zinc deficiency is uncharacteristic in America for both whites in African Americans. Thus, what we discovered in Atlanta in 2006, 2007 is indeed an anomaly that demands explanation. So Conrad Cole and others in a 2010 report is an analysis of zinc status in 280 black and Hispanic children in urban Atlanta. This is a study of a defined single metropolitan area group of black and Hispanic preschoolers, babies, dependent upon WIC food supplies. The authors found evidence of zinc deficiency from 19.4% to upwards to 44%, and which is extremely high since nationally we don't have that. And 44% among black children. The mean serum zinc concentrations were significantly lower among African American preschool children than among Hispanic preschool children. So from 2006 to 2007, these same kids are about like from 15 to 20 years old. The risk of zinc deficiency among these black children was fourfold that of the Hispanic children. The zinc deficiency was so prevalent among the black children of on WIC that African American ethnicity as well as government sponsored insurance status were deemed risk factors for zinc deficiency. This unexpectedly high prevalence of zinc deficiency among black preschoolers, WIC recipients in Atlanta, is remarkably contrary not only to the reported good zinc status of white WIC recipients nationwide, but is contrary also to the zinc status nationwide of African Americans as well. Our 2006-2007 Atlanta population on black preschoolers with a high prevalence of zinc deficiency thus stands out radically as a national outlier. So this is weird. The consequences of zinc deficiency are significant. Zinc deficiency can cause growth retardation, short folks, mental slowness, mental lethargy, zinc, and that's what a lot of us think. We're so damn slow. We can't see when something is wrong. We laugh in the face of danger. We don't even understand when. It's not bravery, it's stupidity. Sometimes you laugh in the face of danger and it's not bravery, it's just ignorance, it's stupidity. You don't even understand there's a danger. You're thinking slow. So low zinc levels can cause growth retardation, mental lethargy, and endocrine disruption. Endocrine disruption. So those are hormone productions. And those hormone production levels show something wrong in Atlanta. Okay? Specifically male hypogonadism, so small gonads or low testosterone, testicular atrophy, shrinkage of your testicles, little small raisins, and male and female infertility. Zinc plays an essential role in the synthesis and secretion of luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone and gonadal differentiation, sorry about that, action of the Müllerian inhibiting factor, testicular growth and development of seminiferous tubules, spermatogenesis, testicular steroidogenesis, androgen metabolism, and interaction with steroid receptors. In zinc deficiency, testicular cells are able to take up cholesterol and neutral lipids, which are precursors to sex steroids, but are incapable of converting them into sex steroids. So they take up the sex steroids, which are testosterone and estrogen, but they can't convert them into sex steroids, leading to the arrest of spermatogenesis, you can't make sperm, and the impairment of fertilization. So this is a way to retard your birth rate. This is birth control. This is mass birth control here. That's what you're talking about. Luteinizing hormone, follicle stimulating hormone, these things that hormones stimulate something else, some elsewhere in the body. So you got a luteinizing hormone. It's got to be secreted before, especially before the woman is ovulating her ovaries, and then it also stimulates the testes in the male. And these are things that you need to be working right. Otherwise, you're not feeling yourself, right? So not only does zinc deficiency cause male reproductive disruption, it causes male feminization. Zinc inhibits the process called aromatization and the conversion of the male hormone testosterone into the feminizing hormone estrogen by the enzyme aromatase. Zinc deficiency therefore results in excessive aromatization. So, since zinc slows down or inhibits this process, which is turning testosterone into estrogen, see, the men, you'll bitch out, basically. I'll say that. Men, you can turn female when you have low zinc levels, where you feminizing your body turns feminizing. You get all these emotion, you get all emotional. Women, Allah bless them to have the physical form to handle all that emotion and all of that estrogen and all the different feelings and emotions they have to deal with because they got all this running through their bloodstream. Brothers, our brain is not really made for that. So that's not a good look on us. All right. So feminization also doesn't mean homosexual behavior. It can incentivize it, as we see down there in Atlanta. But feminizing it means that you're displaying, it can actually feminize your body. So your body will start displaying the attributes of females. And so that's what that means. It doesn't mean that it's going to turn you homosexual like that. Zinc deficiency also decreases the available number of androgen receptors necessary to potentiate the testosterone. So you can have the testosterone inside your blood, but you don't have enough zinc, and so your body can't even use it. And it's just like having $1 million, but you only got one grocery store or one little place that you don't have nowhere to spend it. So the available number of estrogen receptors, so also it increases the number of estrogen receptors that potentiate the extra estrogen. Such deficiency plays a pathogenic role in feminization and reproductive dysfunction, reports Ohm and Chung. So a condition, zinc deficiency, that causes male feminization as well as reproductive dysfunction, leading to infertility in males and females, is a rare occurrence in America among African Americans and whites. Yet unexpectedly, it occurs in a population of black preschoolers in the CDC's Atlanta, as discovered by a CDC funded study. What is the cause of this unexpected find? Our authors don't give us an answer, but they do offer us a hint. Food intake was not a problem in either group, black or Hispanic, as documented in the food diaries, especially those of the African American children who consumed very high average daily energy. However, the bioavailability of zinc in the foods consumed and the interactions between zinc and other components of the diet might be responsible for the zinc status among these children. In other words, It's not the case that the black children are not consuming the right foods in order to have a better zinc status, so you can eat this zinc. Rather, it is possible that the zinc in these foods is not rendered bioavailable when consumed by the black children, or the foods does not contain the zinc that it is expected to contain. Both can be accomplished scientifically. Zinc deficiencies, and this here is a dietary model for production of experimental zinc deficiencies in man, and this was done in 1988. I looked this up. I guess I didn't want to buy the PDF, but let me see here. Yeah, basically what they did, they semi-purified diet based on soy protein was developed to induce zinc, a mild zinc deficiency in 5 male volunteers. So they're just proving that they can induce this zinc deficiency in 5 male volunteers. This is the volunteer study. Each of the 7 daily menus provided, and then they give the nutritional, makeup of the meals that they provided, and show how the zinc was the analytical value of phytate uh, zinc molar ratio, and molar is it's a specific number in a chemistry. For example, you have a dozen eggs, you have, you know, a couple of this. A molar is a specific number. I think it's like 6.1 something. I forgot. And it's just, they know how many atoms once they have that weight. And so basically, they're just showing how they did this experiment and how bad the zinc was depleted from the different parts of the system. So that's important. So yeah, zinc deficiencies have been experimentally induced by diet in animals and by scientists since 1967. And by 1983, it was considered desirable to develop a human model which would allow a study of the effects of a mild zinc deficient state in man. In other words, after mastering the induction of a zinc deficiency in animals through manipulation of food sources, scientists were ready to try their skills with human guinea pigs, which the first thing they think of is black people. I guarantee you that. The first human models were a group of volunteers, which this study here shows, who did these experiments in vitro in the lab. Results need in vivo, in real life, confirmation. Did the in vivo phase of the project to develop and study a human model for zinc deficiency involve those 146 black children in metro Atlanta who participated in the 2006-2007 zinc study supported by the CDC and National Institute of Health? Were they unwitting human guinea pigs? Probably so, plus others. There are a variety of techniques capable of experimentally inducing a zinc deficiency in human models through dietary means. Foods can be scientifically modified to deplete zinc in a human consumer and cause zinc deficiency without the consumer having a clue. This can be achieved via two primary methods of food manipulation. Number one, they can strip the food item of its natural zinc content. And number two, they can introduce into the food a chemical inhibitor that reduces the bioavailability of the zinc once the food is consumed. In the case of black WIC recipients in Atlanta, both of these methods could be performed by the food manufacturer before the food was packaged and shipped in the zip codes where the destination stores are located. In terms of the first method, food can be stripped or purified of its zinc by being washed in this disodium salt. Yeah, it's a disodium salt of the chemical ethylene diamine tetracetic acid. Because ethylene diamine tetracetic acid binds to zinc, its sodium salt acts as a chelator, basically an extractor, that pulls out all or most of the zinc in the food, which is then washed off the food with deionized water. Once dried, the food can be packaged and shipped, and the store personnel and the consumer of the food is none the wiser. EDTA washed foods have been extensively used by scientists to induce zinc deficiency. Thus, theoretically, if the purified then packaged food is sent to stores in selected areas, zip codes, and purchased by a WIC voucher, only those WIC customers in that particular area would show any signs of zinc deficiency. This hypothetical is very consistent with what we actually find in our Atlanta cohort in 2006-2007. So basically, what they did is what Dr. Wesley is saying that they did is they wanted to see if they can induce a deficiency in a specific population, even though that they were, you know, going around in a specific zip code, just by manipulating the WIC recipient versus, you know, they can basically send that depleted food to your zip code, and even though you're out and about in the world, it will affect just these specific people, and the people don't know. They're doing this from a lab somewhere, and these particular people, they're just running along with their lives and everything. So the second method of modifying food to covertly induce a zinc deficiency is by inserting an additive into the food that once consumed inhibits the bioavailability of the zinc. Incidentally, it is public knowledge that WIC products on a state-by-state basis contain such chemical inhibitors, which fall under the title of functional ingredients. So a functional food is a food that is modified by a functional ingredient, which is a substance added to a food through the manufacturing process, and that is purported to improve bodily function or is intended to produce a desired physiological effect. WIC improves body WIC offers such functional foods that have been modified by chemical additives such as baby formula, infant cereal, eggs, juice, and bread. One of the recognized functional ingredients used to modify it is soy protein isolate. Soy products have been a staple of the WIC package since 2009. But as a recognized functional ingredient, soy protein isolate can be added to any WIC offered food by the manufacturer. Even though WIC is fully federally funded program, the decision to offer modified or enhanced foods is not a national decision, but it is made on a state-by-state basis, and not by the state WIC office, but by the manufacturers. Because soy protein isolate is highly refined product processed to remove off flavors, beanie taste, and flatulence producers or fart makers and increase the digestibility, it is much easier to conceal its presence in food. So why is adding soy protein isolate to a food as a functional ingredient a problem and a potential relevance to our discussion of black WIC recipients in Atlanta with an unexpected zinc deficiency? Because in the case of this in vitro phase of human experiment, the nature and composition of a diet that could be used to produce a deficiency in zinc in man, the principal ingredient used to formulate the menu was texturized soy protein. And that is, let's see. No, that's the wrong thing I'm thinking. Sorry. Let's hold on to this. So, yeah, the principal ingredient used to formulate the 7-day menu was texturized soy protein. And that's from your cereal companies. Corn Flakes, General Mills. See where they at? Apple Jacks, Cheerios, General Mills. This is an experiment. They did experiments on this here. So why is adding it's basically you can't taste the soy because they've refined it, and because in the case of the in vitro experiment, the nature of the composition of a diet that could be used to produce the deficiency of man, zinc deficiency in man, the principal ingredient used to formulate the menu was texturized soy protein. This is because soy contains substances called phytate. It contains a substance called phytate, which which is released in the body as phytic acid. Phytic acid has been referred to as an anti-nutrient. So this is why we got the stripper. See that? This is phytic acid. Phytate. And these are negative OH, or you know, hydroxide molecules. Hydroxide molecules on the outside of this here. These are negatives. And they are like, they capture these positively charged minerals. So there's your zinc. It captures iron and other stuff, calcium. So when soy is added to a food that is consumed, the phytic acid impairs the absorption by the body of iron, zinc, and calcium by binding to these minerals in the intestines, making them less available to the body, or not bioavailable. Soy enhanced foods that can cause zinc deficiency. Soy enhanced foods thus can cause zinc deficiency. Soy is also a feminizer on its own. The soybean contains isoflavones like genistein that are estrogenic. They bind to and activate the estrogen receptors. Soy protein also depletes testosterone in men. So now you're getting hit with several feminizing things here. So we're looking at Atlanta real strange now. We're looking at Atlanta real strange now. This is weaponized food, right? We're seeing weaponized food. So soy phytoestrogens have contraceptive effects. Impairing male and female fertility. Nevertheless, soy is recognized by the FDA, the CIA's own junior partner, as a functional food. Soy should not even be a food for us. You shouldn't eat soy, nothing. Don't eat it. That can be added to foods. And stores contain. Today, basically, the CIA's junior partner as a functional foods that can be added to foods. And today it is reported that 60% of foods found in the supermarket and natural food stores contain soy and other soy ingredients, often a hidden ingredient in products where soy would not ordinarily be expected, such as fast food hamburgers. According to Slate.com, a quick scan of McDonald's ingredients list revealed soy in more than 200 items, and not just in expected things like French fries and chicken nuggets, but also breakfast sausages, grilled onions, chicken patties, barbecues, ranch sauce, sesame buns, liquid margarine, cinnamon melts, and hash browns, and griddle cakes, and chocolate chips, and bagels. Prior to this current dominance of labeled and unlabeled soy infused foods, it is not inconceivable that such a practice was piloted by programs that offered food to poor black people in urban areas, the WIC programs, for example, in order to test the ability to dietarily induce a zinc deficiency in real life in vivo in a human model. This would most certainly give context to the discovery of the rare prevalence of zinc deficiency among black WIC recipients in urban Atlanta in 2006-2007 by the CDC. Around this time, another isolated captive population was punitively force-fed soy-based diet. In 2010, prisoners from Danville Correctional Center in Illinois Department of Corrections, in a federal court, alleging that the prisoners were being tortured by excessive soy in the diets. Well into the 1990s, prisoners were fed a beef-based diet and even operated prison farms and abattoirs, producing much of their own food. But in 2003, when Rod Blagojevich became governor of Illinois, he fired the black woman in charge of food service and instituted a 60 to 70% soy based diet, soy protein, meat, soy cheese in the macaroni, soy sausage, and soy flour used for baked goods. And remember, Rob Blagojevich was the one that got in some type of trouble uh, when Barack Obama was elected because he was accused of trying to sell Barack Obama's Senate seat. And the FBI were really looking at him, and he ended up going to jail for that. Because when Barack Obama got elected and he had to uh, move from that Senate seat, something happened there. So Rod Blagojevich was the governor of Illinois, and it was a big scandal behind that. So he was then soy was provided. Excuse me, the soy was provided to the IDOC by Archer Daniel Midlands, who reportedly was a big contributor to the Blagojevich campaign. So he was big on quid pro quo. The prisoners were being fed as many as 7 soy enhanced meat entrees a week, amounting to as much as 100 grams of soy protein a day, while the USDA was recommending no more than 25 grams of 25 grams of consumption per day as safe. So they were being fed 4 times the recommended safe allowance of soy. Some of the soy was Monsanto's genetically modified soy consumption. At the same time, the IDOC staff were provided soy-free food, so they knew what they were doing. The suit alleged that feeding a soy-laden diet constitutes cruel and unusual punishment in violation of the Eighth Amendment of the Constitution. Men were suffering from heart issues, thyroid damage, severe digestive problems, vomiting, constipation, debilitating diarrhea, and hormonal changes that cause men to grow breasts, become infertile. The main problem was high estrogen levels in the soy, said Larry Rocky Harris, a prisoner and lawyer and one of the plaintiffs in the suit. Yet the same soy is classed as functional ingredients and indiscriminately added to food. This soy can cause zinc deficiencies. Zinc deficiency can cause infertility in males and females and feminization of males. This is a rare condition in America, yet it made an unexpected appearance. among black children in Atlanta dependent upon government-issued food sources. Using secretly manipulated food to covertly induce a condition of infertility and male feminization would not be a new idea in 2006 2007, as we saw the spatial isolation of the black communities through segregation makes it easy to target this specific group. So we also got to think about this in prisons. One of the biggest issues is, you know, homosexual behavior, especially with people. Some people say that guys get talked out of their thing, as BG had on his album. But they're putting all this estrogen in the diet of the prisoners. They're turning them into women. And so they get turned out in prison because they're getting all of this extra estrogen going on. The soy protein. These are this phytic acid is in a lot of foods. Now, in certain amounts we need the phytic acid because we don't want the metals to overly poison so everything's in balance. But when you're eating too many of these type of things, you're not getting any energy. You're not getting any minerals from your food. So you got to be careful. So here's a couple. Look up some of the things that has this phytic acid in it. This phytic acid, it helps. You should look it up. Research phytic acid. See, the wheat, whole grains, barley, sorghum. You don't want to eat too much of that stuff. You want to make sure that you get right balance so that you can absorb your minerals and everything, and so you can properly heal yourself. Don't feed your baby these Similac. Look at this shit. All this here, the calcium, all of that, the iron, the magnesium, the zinc, and look how small they put the zinc, because you're not going to have any zinc by the time this soy is done. This soy oil, you're feeding babies oil, contains soy. You're going to get this here. You're going to strip your zinc. You're going to get that. You're going to get that phytic acid. It's going to strip all of that shit away, right? You don't need that. And that's the problem. So, I'm going to end this off. And, guys, we destroy from lack of knowledge. And we're going to have to get that knowledge back, guys. We're going to have to get that knowledge back. Otherwise, we're going to have a problem. We're going to have more than a problem, which we already do. So, everybody, hit the thumbs up. Blessed. This is the 4th installment. And go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to try to get some new equipment. And we're going to try to make this a little bit better. Yeah. Go through this and study this stuff. Don't kill your children. These are the people we're dealing with, y'all. These are the people we're dealing with. Listen to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He's smart. If that man won't treat you right, he's not going to treat you right.